All right, everyone. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Son of Steele podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Aiden Fitzgerald. I'm Dylan Steele, and today we have our special guest here, Tej. And Tej kind of made a name for himself working for Pro Football Focus. Definitely a guru when it comes to Detroit sports, specifically the Lions. So I'll kind of let Tej take the floor here, kind of talk a little bit about himself and kind of where he is in life, what's going on in your personal life, that type of thing, and then we'll dig into sports as it progresses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me on your first ever podcast. I'm honored to be the one that you guys thought of, and I'm really excited to talk with you guys.
First
today.
choice.
So, yeah. Yeah, just to give some background on me for everyone out there. I really got into football, and more specifically football analytics when I got to college, and I joined a club that did football analytics and kind of learned like the advanced metrics behind that type of stuff. And so this led to me creating my football analytics Twitter account, where I tweeted a lot about football, like whatever stats I found, graphs that I made, different stuff like that. And that led to, about a year of tweeting, which turned into an internship offer from Pro Football Focus, which I did for the past year, and really enjoyed that. The data access was great, and being able to work with like the talented people that they have over there, and having the ability to see like every graded game going back to 1994 was pretty cool. So that's where I kind of am at in my football journey.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely interesting looking at you as being a Lions fan, looking at all those stats. It must be kind of brutal having to look back at history and see all that, except for obviously the amazing playoff win against the Cowboys. You have that at least on Aiden over here. So that's just something kind of interesting to think about as well.
Cheap shots aside, I just want to promote Tej up a little bit. I think he's selling himself short. I mean, this guy's been name dropped on ESPN. Those of you who don't know what Pro Football Focus is, it's the leading analytics company for like used by the major sports networks and NFL itself. So it's really big to have Tej as a first guest, and he's got crazy knowledge in the field. He kicks my ass in fantasy football every year. I'm pretty much just donating money. But yeah, so going a little introductions. I know about Dylan and myself here. I know Dylan is making a shot. I'm a Cowboys fan. Dylan's a Packers fan, and Tej is a Lions/Rams fan. He's just a guru everywhere. So yeah. You want to do a little more introduction here, Dylan?
Yeah, so I think you look at this, and let's kind of get into personal life here a little bit. One thing to really keep in mind here is Aiden and Tej are actually longtime friends. They go way back to at least high school, I know. So is there any stories you guys have growing up?
Yeah, elementary
first
school.
grade. Oh, way longer than I thought. Well, you guys have known each other for a while. So how have you guys, I'm a roommate now with Aiden. How have you put up with Aiden that long, Tej? In all honesty, I mean, I already want to kick him out and evict him from the place. I mean, how has that dynamic kind of grown with you guys? You guys gotten older.
No, it's actually the other way around. I'm surprised that Aiden has lasted with me this long. When we were friends in elementary school, it was always fun to me and Aiden were in a lot of like similar things. Like we were like, when we had to go pick out books from the library at school, like we would pick out similar books. We were always into football. So a lot of our talk would lie there. And Aiden stood up to a lot of slander from the whole class. Was basically Lions fans, and like especially all our friends, because
a lot of idiots in that school.
There. Yeah. And so Aiden was always being bullied for being a Cowboys fan, being different, all that stuff. And props to him for sticking with it all the way through middle school, high school, all that type of stuff. And high school was a lot of fun with Aiden, because when he was playing football for the high school football team, he would give me like cool insights on different plays that they were running, and show me his huddle, like all 22 tape and all that type of stuff. So I always really enjoyed talking to him then when we got to that age too.
Yeah, I mean, we also played flag football. I don't know if we were ever on the same team. I always the one time we were in like the same like league with each other, I had a couple older kids on our team. I think we were in like fourth grade. We had a few sixth graders in the team. Never let us live that down. But needless to say, we dominated. Yeah, I mean, as far as football knowledge, I used to be able to hold par with Tej, but once he got all in the analytics, I just can't I still love the debate about it, but I just get beat every time now, which is exactly why we brought him on the podcast here. And we're gonna kind of move on into some updates here. So yeah, what updates do you have for us, Tage? I know we're gonna talk a little about the Lions. Do you have any Hard Knocks coming up? A lot of cool things.
Yeah, about the Lions specifically, like I'm really excited for Hard Knocks. Dylan, Jamal Williams really well. I think he's going to be a
great
star,
personality,
right?
great personality in sports.
Yeah, no, do you think he has the best personality in like all the NFL, like based on what you see?
I definitely think he's up there. I think also the Lions doing a great job marketing him. There was that YouTube series I had with him. You probably know more about that than I do.
Yeah.
But just being able to like realize you have the special personality, a special talent like that off the field, and being able to utilize that through marketing techniques, that type of thing. That's really exciting to see. And I'm sure it's a lot of fun for him. I actually remember when I was younger, I went to a Packers Lions game. I go every year in Ford Field. And Jamal Williams was actually out. He was with the Packers at that time, but he was like throwing a ball into the crowd, having a good time, dancing, being himself. So I think that's like a really good energy, great locker room guy. So, I mean, obviously, I want the Packers to win the division, but Williams definitely has a special place in my heart. I think he's electric on the field as well. And I see him having a big year for them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And yeah, like I think he's going to be a star on Hard Knocks when that starts to come out beginning of August. Like I think America will really fall in love with him. And, he's always like dancing, smiling, like that type of stuff, like you mentioned, which I think is really cool. The other Lions news that I think was interesting that we were kind of talking before we recorded here was Caesars Sportsbook, in Las Vegas put out a tweet today that said that everyone's kind of been very optimistic about the Lions, that their win total of 6 is the most bet on over, bet out of anything that they have. So most people think that they're going to go over the 6 wins. Dan Campbell is the most bet on coach to win coach of the year. And DeAndre Swift is the most bet on running back to have the most rushing yards in the league. So, a lot of Lions optimism. I don't know if I necessarily share that optimism. I think that they're, a 4 to 7 win team, probably around 5 if I had to put a number on it, but curious to see what you guys think there for that.
The real question I have is like, where's the optimism coming from? Because I'm more like team tank. I mean, the quarterback draft next year is supposed to be insane. And I think like personally, Goff is not the answer for me. I think he's like probably in between like a 20 to 15 quarterback, like ranking if you're like 1 to 32 at best. And I think like, especially with the Lions having already 2 first-round picks, if they had like one be lower, they'll be in a great position. Whether if they already have top 5 to trade up to that number 1 or 2. So I think like a lot of pass drafts, they're probably going to go like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are probably going to go 1 and 2. And I personally am not a Lions fan. They're probably like my second or third favorite team, just having a little hometown pride. And I think they should go that direction. I'm not saying they can't go over that 6 total, because I think they definitely have the talent. I mean, that offensive line and DeAndre Swift alone could push them over. But I think the future, at least personally, I like to build to the draft. I mean, as a Cowboys fan, that's all we do. So I think got the line of the right general manager in place now, and I think they just need to commit. Never tank, but commit to the plan.
I mean, I definitely think the Lions will be better. Unfortunately, I mean, a little biased here, but I think the Packers still run the North this year. Fully. Dan Campbell scares me a little bit, though. I look at that guy. I'm a Detroit fan for everything else besides the Lions. So I think he really fits the mold of the city. It's one of those things where I think he motivates a team better than I've ever seen. The kneecap speech obviously started off very strong. I think the guys really get behind him. But I mean, you have that same old Lions mentality. And I know Campbell was just talking about that. But can you win games? Can you win games you're supposed to win first and foremost, which I think the Lions will be in a couple of those matchups this year. And then can you go into a hostile environment and take a game you're not supposed to have any business even being in? So I feel like that's where we struggle with the Lions, where we see them placed. I feel like they're still a year or 2 away from competing, and it depends on how long they really give Campbell with that leash. You heard Matt Patricia was the guy. Everyone was high on him. Everyone's really high on Campbell. So I'm not 100% sold yet, but I think he has potential to be that guy. It's just a matter of, do they give him enough time in Detroit?
Tage, I have a question for you, because I personally am not high on Dan Campbell at all. I didn't understand the hire, tight end coach coming with very little experience. Like to me, like I like to have an elite offensive mind or an elite defensive mind, preferably offense. But are there any like stats, like knowledge you had to back it up? Where are the best head coaches coming from, and what is your thoughts on Dan Campbell?
Mhm. Yeah, no, if you look at the best head coaches over the last couple of years, the top three in metric I built for PFF when I was there was called wins over expected coaching, which accounted for your talent on the roster and then determined how many wins an average head coach would get with that roster, which was the expected wins, and then however many actual wins you got was like the wins over expected that you added by coaching. And the top three coaches of the past 3 seasons was Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and Matt LaFleur. So you have all these really good offensive minds. They're up there. You just saw Sean McVay win a Super Bowl. He's a top offensive mind. You saw Kyle Shanahan take an average quarterback to the NFC Championship. Kyle Shanahan's a top offensive line. Even Zach Taylor comes from an offensive background. So all these coaches are, very advanced with their play calling. And that's where we've seen like the top head coaches come from. Which is why I was skeptical about the hire too, Aiden. Like I thought that, Dan Campbell, it could be good for culture, but there's coaches that can do both culture and offensive play calling. If we use Sean McVay again as the example, like the players have gotten a boost when going to play in LA. Odell just got that this past year. Stafford kind of got that. Different types. Jalen Ramsey got that because they have a good culture there. And on top of that, he adds a lot by his play calling ability. So I thought they maybe could have looked, and tried to find, an offensive play caller who also would have brought good culture and not specifically gone just for a culture guy.
See, I love how when we ask you a question, it's all stat driven, all that. You made your own analytics. I think that's so cool. When it's just Aiden and I talking, it's all eye test, fuck the Cowboys, that type of mentality. So I love when we ask you a question, how you can just go into that deep dive, even without having notes or anything in front of you, just having that knowledge, like foresight, ready to go. I think that's one of like the greatest things about talking sports with you.
See, that's why I always lose this guy in fantasy. It's like when I look at players and when I draft my fantasy team, I'm making the best, like if I make my own team, these are the players I want, but they don't always produce. They don't have like the target share and all those advanced stats looking into it. But I have a little spin for Tage here. You just said you like to always reference the stats for your opinions and all that. But I know another big bet that we've been seeing recently is Zach Wilson for MVP. Over the past couple of weeks, he's received more votes than one Thomas Brady and Aaron Rodgers. And I think we all know where this is coming from. But what are your takes on the situation, Tage? And what are your takes on his outlook for next season?
Yeah, I thought the Zach Wilson story was hilarious. I think so. Like jokes aside, like I think this is actually like a good thing for the Jets. Like something like this coming out is like something that can really bond a locker room together. Like when a guy is getting with those types of people that Zach Wilson has been getting with, like, that's like someone I want to, if I'm an offense, that's someone I want to block for. If I'm a receiver, that's someone I want to, catch passes from. So,
hey, but aren't you a little bit worried though? He's going to try to sleep with your mom if you're in the locker room with him. Like, aren't you a little worried about that? Like, you got to kind of hide your mom from him. Like family night comes around, you kind of want Zach Wilson, I'm not sure you really want him meeting everyone. That's just something to think about too. Dude's a dog.
Dylan, do you remember where the Chiefs put Jordan Love's mom in that game against the in the Chiefs Packers game? That's where I'm putting my mom if I'm on the Jets. Like she's sitting, the highest row in the stadium that she could sit, so that Zach Wilson doesn't see her.
Yeah, you don't want her anywhere near the players' tunnel. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The one thing I thought was funny, there was like, I know like especially football and sports in general is more like a guy consensus. There was like no negative reaction. Like, obviously respect to him, but he did in fact cheat. And I don't know. It's interesting.
The real question is, did he sleep with the mom?
When I think like I heard reports there was multiple moms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Imagine having him over to your house for a sleepover, and then you wake up to take like a piss at 3 a.m. and he's just doggy styling your mom.
Young Gravy's really jealous of Zach Wilson. Like, this is Young Gravy's dream. And
Oh, 100%. They need to collab on something. You see some NFL players, Le'Veon Bell went out with a little rap album. Why don't we throw Zach Wilson on a verse with Young Gravy? I think it would go viral.
Okay, no, I don't want that. I don't know if you guys know, I'm blanking on the name. The Cowboys' second round pick from last year. His nickname is Boss Man Fat. That's his rap name actually. And I wish he was doing a little more practicing football than rapping. I think I think he was with LSU originally and got cut from the program. Had to go to Kentucky. Fast as hell, but the player he just needs to lock in a little bit more.
Oh, Kelvin Joseph.
There's
Yeah.
funny guy though. When you interview, he was great on Hard Knocks last year for the Cowboys. Okay. Well, kind of shift the topic here. We're doing a little segment we're starting on the podcast. It's called Influence of the Day. I don't know. I thought this was a bigger personality, but I think both Dylan and Tage have not seen this guy before. And so I'm going to share my screen here. And this man is named Liver King.
Oh my
Hilarious guy. Let me just explain the premise before we start watching some of the videos here. This guy, there's conspiracy theories just on this man. Obviously, you can tell he's extremely cut, but he's only like 5'6". He's a short guy. And short king, Liver King. And the whole premise is he seems to eat natural, quote unquote, and he likes to eat like just raw meat all the time. So you'll see like him just take like bull's testicles and just take a gigantic bite out of it and act like it's normal. And he's actually been on, maybe eventually we'll get him on our podcast. I know I saw a couple weeks ago he was on Impulsive explaining the theory behind it. The main thing he promotes obviously is liver, and he eats all the time. He claims his family eats all that way, but I mean, I'll get into the theories behind them a little bit later. Let's see. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear the volume. I don't know if I shared this right. Let me stop sharing for a second. Check if I can do that.
Aiden with his technical difficulty issues.
Technical difficulties advanced. Is that on advanced?
We need some like elevator music or something to get us through this segment.
Some Jeopardy. I'll edit in Jeopardy later. I'll just play. Let's share. Tell me if you can hear it or not. Oh, here's actually the clip from another not as good podcast, but Impulsive.
Yeah, you can't hear anything, Aiden. Good job.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this kind of cleaning it up for the next podcast here. I'll just explain kind of what he says. Basically, he's got a lot of like catchphrases, and the whole like situation behind this guy. Here you can see them lifting underwater. Kind of brands himself as a manly man, does dumb workouts all the time, says he does it from this, but what's your first impression before I get into some of the conspiracy theories here?
My first impression is steroids.
You would be surprised. That's the main conspiracy theory.
Okay, yeah, like I see this guy and the first thing I think about is, his wang's probably 2 inches, just because of all the steroids that dude pops in. So that's what I'm thinking when I see this. I think he's full of it. But Tej, what are your thoughts?
I think he doesn't look like he smells good. Like if he's eating raw meat all the time and maybe using steroids and doing all this like weird types of workouts and different stuff like that. Like I feel like he smells really bad if you're around him.
Also, if he's pushing this diet on his kids, that's kind of weird. Like what's wrong with Happy Meals? When we were kids, that's what we wanted.
What he claims he does is like his entire family eats this way all the time. But I mean, what the internet vastly believes in conspiracy theories in general, saying that this guy, he just does it for the videos. He doesn't eat this way behind like all the time. And the most interesting thing about, because you're thinking like, why does he do this? Why does he do like any of this? Is obviously doesn't taste good. He might act like he likes eating bull testicles, but no one likes eating bull testicles. If you do, sorry for all my listeners out there that do, it's fine. But
they're a delicacy,
the normal person,
right? Aren't testicles a delicacy most of the time, right?
Maybe for you. Anyway, moving on.
In Wisconsin, I think there's a thing called Testicle Festival, man. Like people just go crazy for it. So
that's why Wisconsin. But the main theory behind like why all this like this persona and everything's built up is that he's actually backed by like they basically wanted to promote eating liver. Now, if you go to like some like major like supermarkets like that didn't sell liver before, they're just selling raw liver. Like there's actually a trend now. I mean, he only has 1.6 million, but he's part of like a larger ongoing like I guess like marketing push, and he's just a player. He's a pawn in this game to promote eating raw organs.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can see that happening though. I mean, influencers are pretty much all paid off by some kind of company to
100%.
prove some kind of product. So I definitely think that's the thing. But I mean, if he's living the lifestyle he says he's living, good for him. But if he's faking it,
he's I mean, does anybody here, Tage, do you think he's faking it?
I mean, there has to be aspects of what he does fake. There's no way he could eat raw meat at all times. I feel like eventually you're gonna get salmonella poisoning or something like that. But Aiden, I kind of like this BuzzFeed Unsolved conspiracy theory that you're doing into.
Maybe we'll make a new segment about that. And kind of build off that, like when I hear like he just eats raw organs all the time, it kind of makes me think of that like BuzzFeed mindset where like it's just straight like kind of like a serial killer. But I feel like if someone told me like, hey, this guy just eats raw organs for let's say like his meal, I mean, red flag, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, major red flag. It makes me just feel like uneasy that he's eating raw meat.
Makes my stomach uneasy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And just like looking at the pictures on his Instagram that aren't podcast related, it seems like he's an eccentric guy. So I'm sure he's doing all kinds of interesting things. But yeah, and I hope he stays healthy and everything.
Like how we're calling someone out on our first ever podcast. Like we're gonna have people showing up with pitchforks and torches here pretty soon. Liver King has a big following. All 1.6 million people might show up.
His following, I guess I am part of the following. We are the primals. Every time he explains something, he says primals want to know. I got basically to do the accent. Primals want to know. I can't do it well, but he's got a decently deep voice too to kind of go with his persona. But who knows? Maybe that's fake too. Yeah.
Good to know. Okay. Liver King, as you can hear, we're calling you out. We want you on the podcast to try to defend yourself.
Yes, the next celebrity fight will be Jake Paul and Liver King.
I would love that.
Okay. Kind of moving on to our next segment here. Probably going to be saying goodbye to Tage. Thank you so much for the analytics, but moving into a little bit more about what Dylan and I know more. Be focusing on Marvel here. And Dylan, what is your take on I guess Natalie Portman, in my opinion, kind of stole the show from Chris Hemsworth in this new Thor movie. What initial thoughts?
Have you seen Natalie Portman? Zach Wilson would want Natalie Portman. That is a certified MILF right now.
Oh yeah.
Let's call it as it is. Tage, I know you haven't seen the new Thor movie, but you might want to look up what Natalie Portman looked like in that, because damn.
I'm looking it up.
But I also I think the best part about it though was I like the goats that were brought in. I thought they were entertaining characters. I love Taika Waititi, what he did with them, bringing him in, making James Gunn have to do something with him now. So yeah, I think that was a really interesting thing that was brought in, the new Thor, and it definitely kind of followed the new mold too. Yeah, Thor's losing another person, that type of thing.
It did and didn't, because I think it was kind of based off Ragnarok, kind of going more to that humor, but the humor was a little bit more crude. Not in a bad way from my own perspective, but it kind of went away from a childlike audience, because they were making more sexual jokes. I know they said multiple times all the gods would just have a gigantic orgy, and if Thor didn't comply with what Zeus wanted, he'd be left out of the giant god orgy. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember them ever making a sexual joke before.
I don't think they have. I know in Eternals they finally had a sex scene, so I know they're trying to move into that direction a little bit more. And the Netflix shows are now on Disney Plus, so I know those are R-rated. So I know we're gonna see a little bit more of that, especially with your boy Deadpool coming in here pretty soon. We all think.
Oh yeah.
So I definitely think you'll see a little bit more of that shift going on. But I mean, I was kind of disappointed in that God scene. I was fully expecting Jesus to show up. I thought it would have been hilarious. Um, I mean, probably would have pissed off some Christians, but
Oh yeah.
I think it would have been great to finally see like Jesus in a film that's not primarily, Christian based, something like that, just to kind of see how everyone else sees Jesus, almost like a Thor character, that type of thing as well. I thought that would have been phenomenal.
Personally, I mean, kind of going off what Dylan just said, I would have loved to see Deadpool. Where's Deadpool at? Get my boy Ryan Reynolds in this now. Favorite Marvel character, besides maybe Thor. Thor's number one, Deadpool's number two. Why not just have 1 and 2 in the same movie? You know?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that was a huge opportunity that was missed. Um, but yeah, no, there's a lot of good things coming on. Tage, did you end up looking up Natalie Portman, and what do you think on a scale of 1 to 10? Where are we at?
11.
Yeah, I usually don't watch Marvel movies, but after I saw her, I might need to watch this Thor one to to enjoy that
For
experience.
research purposes, right? I heard there's some
Yeah.
football analytics in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it might help my career to watch this, so I'll have to do it. But hey, can I give a movie recommendation I think you guys might like? I feel like it's Marvel.
Yeah, no, too.
Yeah, so there's this Bollywood movie, I guess. It's called RRR. It's 3 hours long, so it might take you a couple days to watch it.
Wait, does that
But-
mean XXX in Bollywood's language?
No, each R will stand for something when you watch the movie, like you'll see. But it's like basically like an American movie. It just takes place in India, in the 1920s and everything. It's like fantastic. Like, when I read the reviews afterward, people were saying like, oh, this is like felt like a Marvel movie on steroids. So I think since like you guys are such big fans of Thor and all the other ones, I think you could enjoy watching this movie. It's about like these two guys who their paths keep crossing. Like they're both doing different things during like the British imperialism of India, and they ended up becoming very good friends, and having like a conflict that they have to resolve, and they do it with like all this crazy like CGI and everything. It's really good. So if you check it out, let me know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely. I think that'd be an interesting thing to talk about on like our next show or something too. Um, yeah, I've never heard of it, but it sounds very interesting. Anyway, Aiden, I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just kind of following up. Like I was referring, like agreeing with you, saying like I definitely want to look into that. But how can we watch that, Chase? How can our viewers as well? Like what website or
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. It's on Netflix, and you can put
is?
English closed captioning and
Oh.
everything too. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. We're gonna probably move up into our outro here, so we're running short on time. So normally what we end up doing in future podcasts is we're gonna be promoting local businesses. We're based here in like Metro Detroit, but even like if we do Midwest or anything that wants to get a shout out here, love to hear from you. And yeah, any closing thoughts here, boys?
I just want to thank Tage for coming out. I know you have a very busy schedule, working a couple jobs, stuff like that. Taking time out of your day to sit down and talk with us. Really appreciate it. Always an honor. Love running into you on campus. Always wearing your Matthew Stafford jersey. I swear every time I see you, have it on. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing you on campus again. I'm sure we'll be in touch before then, anyways. So, but thanks again for being on.
Yeah, no, it was all my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. I love the group chat that we have, where we'll share what we're up to and talk about football and all that type of stuff. And this is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed coming on here, and I think that this is just the first episode of a podcast that is going to be really, really big. And I'm glad to have a little part of that history there when you guys are having multiple offers to get bought out by Barstool, ESPN, all that type of stuff. So I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to have you on back then once we make it big.
You're already,
maybe-
when the Lions finally either win a playoff game or a Super Bowl, you are definitely going to be on the podcast again. After
You're
you're
gonna be
done with
waiting a
your Super
while.
Bowl
You're gonna be
hangover
waiting a
party
while.
that'll be going on for about 2 weeks, and you'll be on ESPN, I'm sure, talking all about it. So, but we'll definitely get in line to try to schedule you in after the Lions finally get it done.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you guys in like 40 years then.
Exactly. I'm gonna close out with one last thought. All our listeners out there, I would definitely bet on Zach Wilson for MVP. So that's my vote.
I agree. All the moms are putting their money down on him.
Exactly.
going down
Hide
on
your
him, too.
moms. Okay, this has been Son of Steel. See you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening.